If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/VillageXchange. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are at the foothills of a pretty amazing show, I would say. Looking at the lineup.
Another night of fun.
Another night of fun.
Whoops. But let's not cut Vinny out. Oh, babe, if you can you straighten
the
your...
way it started.
It did? I can't, like, I'll be over here if you don't straighten your chair.
So? What's the matter?
Well, because I'm cut off like this. It'd be more centered if you just straighten your chair, and then I can push close like this. Yep.
Okay, everybody, we are in the midst of a
DJ Ben
very
stream.
Beginning of a stream from the big homie DJ Ben, as you can see up there. DJ freaking Ben, as I said. Shout out to Argentina. Good to see everybody from Argentina in the house. We're gonna get right into it, ladies and gents.
We are.
Exodus Shroud of Urine is the first song. Very interesting.
Seriously, when I set the stuff on Trello, and I saw this, I was like, really? Shroud of Urine? I was like, children.
Yeah.
Listen to what these people do to us.
These are a bunch of songs I've wanted done. Some even dating back to the first year of Vin and Sori's YouTube career. I didn't have a theme to fit them into, so I made the theme, It's Better Late Than Never. So this is the Better Late Than Never stream, dear listener. In the first couple months of Vin and Sori's YouTube channel, there was this list I had suggested this song in the comments of a review. I don't remember which one. I distinctly remember Sori saying, ew, or gross, and then saying, listed. That list was given away, and this song still has not been done to this day. Not too long after, Vin and Sori reviewed Exodus, Children of a Worthless God, which sparked a legendary bikinis versus hijabs argument between Vin and Sori. At the end of that review, Vin said something to the effect of, I wonder if this band has any songs criticizing our people, Christians. And I was yelling, yes, there's a song criticizing our people. It was on the list. The list is in the open. Actually, that last part was Tom Cruise. Anyhow, it's better late than never. Exodus, Shroud of Urine is the name of this song.
Looks like I said the same thing back then as I say now. When I saw it, I was like, ew, what?
Yeah.
All right, you guys, let's check it out. Exodus.
Shroud of Urine is the name of the song, dear listener. Song numero uno, Shroud of Urine. My God. Wow. Here we are.
Wait, was that Megadeth?
No, that was Exodus, Shroud of Urine.
For doing that, but the issue is when you put it over here, I can't see the comment section and stuff, so I need it over there.
Hey, Francisco. Sound is out. I know. Okay,
We're
guys.
back.
So this was Shroud of Urine, which was a play of words on Shroud of Turin, obviously.
Oh.
The
Turin?
Turin, Turin. Shroud of Turin is a piece of cloth that supposedly has the imprinted face of a crucified person. Hey, what's up, Mr. McNugget?
Yeah,
Glad you're alive. A crucified individual that people are claiming is Jesus. By the way, guys, get those likes up. Get those likes up. We said if we had 45 likes, that it would guarantee a stream yesterday, which
And here we are.
and
with the
here we
stream.
are. So if you can get to 45 likes again, we may be able to get you guys another stream tomorrow. Okay. What was your thought process? Here goes hell.
Liar!
I did that specifically to draw her out of the shadows. Okay, go ahead. So what was your take on this song here?
So I think that probably depending on where I would be in my life would depend on how I would feel about this song. At this point, I think the guy was really honest. I think, he went a little crazy on some of the points, but I think that he was saying how he felt, and then he said, when he's was screaming at the middle, I believe in nothing, least of all in the world of shit, so hide your shroud of urine because I can't take the smell of it. It just seemed like he was, again, being completely honest with saying, I don't believe in anything, and he seems hostile about it. It's a lack of belief that has a lot of emotion, so.
Yeah, which is why I never buy that kind of lack of belief. Mm-hmm. I always, to me, the real atheists are the disinterested.
Yeah.
And that might be my projection.
Oh,
but,
yeah, right.
But for me, it's as I've said a million times, there are websites and whatever that are devoted to fairies and elves and all the other shit that at this point in my life I don't believe are real beings. And so I've talked about going in those rooms just to see if people are really about that, you know what I'm saying? But and I was convinced they really believe that this shit is true. They were a bit of a fascination for me for a second, and then I moved on with my life and never went to the page again. Mm-hmm. And I had no inclination to go to that page because I don't think any of that shit is real. Mm-hmm. So, the very verbose, angry, I'm going to say as much offensive things as possible. It makes me go, okay, this guy has an emotional issue with they're closer to God than most people in church.
Yeah.
So...
he took the time to write a whole song about it.
Yeah, I keep saying as a parent, you're in a much better situation if your kid is, pounding into your shoulders than your kid saying he doesn't want to talk to you at all.
They're done with you, yeah.
And so, it's just hard for me to, believe that a person truly doesn't believe in God, but they're all angry or they're in a forum. That was a big one. Me and the Haas and the guys were in a, Christians versus atheists debate forum, which... we had a hard time getting debate partners. It was pretty difficult. So, I take this stuff with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a conversation with a dude right now, and he looks pretty educated, but it always goes back to the same thing. But yeah, so that's kind of what was going on in my mind when I was hearing. What about you?
Yeah, that's what I said to begin with. I think that even the sound of his vocal styles, had that kind of sort of desperation part when he was screaming it out. So, I know years ago I would have heard something like this and I would have been like, this is so bad. Like, that person, I can't believe he said that. I would have thought this was like really, really bad. But now I look at those things differently. I look at more like the way that you do, where it's like, it's better that the person is screaming out at the situation. And like, you know, we've said this before, like, nobody goes around saying, I don't have any faith. Like, adults, we don't go around saying, I don't have any faith or believe in Santa. We all know we don't believe in Santa, you know? But like in a situation like this where you're making an entire song about it, and you're saying, I believe in nothing, then who are you so angry at? What are you so upset about if you don't believe in any of it? Like, if it doesn't exist, or I just think I think it's more healthy to scream out to God in your anger and frustration than, like you said, to kind of bury it in yourself and go on. I think God wants to hear from us, and I think he wants to hear all of... He already knows it. That's the thing. Like, it's not like you can hide. You can hide from other people. You can put on a mask. You can pretend that you're something else than you really are. But at the end of the day, the only one that actually knows you is God. So, you know, God knows the guy's situation. He knows exactly where he's at.
The dude I'm talking to right now, you know, he started the argument by saying, oh, look, there's kids in Africa suffering, so that must mean there isn't a God. So I said to him, I said, you're speaking about children as if they're inherently valuable, as if there's something wrong with bad things happening to them. And he said, well, of course, what do you mean? You're a sociopath, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but if you're saying there's no God, the kid is just a result of, you know, chance, protoplasm, water, etc. He's just a clump of cells, man. Like,
right.
You guys just, you know, bumping into each other in space. I mean, it happens. Nothing's good or evil. Things are just what they are. But why do you have such a visceral reaction to this stuff? It doesn't seem that it's very consistent with the worldview.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's a very, very basic question. It's like, God's bad for killing people in the flood. Like, oh, like, are people valuable? Where did they get the value from?
I always forget to go that direction with it.
Yeah, it's just, you know, and they never can answer the question.
Yeah, right.
I've been talking to him for 2 hours. He hasn't even begun to try to answer the question. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to borrow from a Christian worldview to criticize it. Right? Like, it's true that it's bad that the kid in Africa is suffering, but the atheist can't tell us why that's bad, nor can he tell us why we need to help that kid.
Yep.
It's natural selection. And look, you could say, well, we also need to evolve morally, so you have to have other factors other than natural selection. I mean, that's fine, that's very nice, but again, that's a Christian idea. There's no way you're going to get, we need to be super mortal for the kid in Africa. You're not going to get that out of an empty sky in natural selection. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of times it's just trying to show people the logical pretzel that you're in. The minute that you criticize God's morality as an atheist, it's over for you. I mean, it really is.
Have you ever had anybody, like, give a relatively decent stab at it, or...
Well, it's like trying to make 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the really, you know, philosophical ones will say, of course, they'll say that they won't make complaints like that because they understand the ramifications. So the philosophers are going, they're operating at a different level than these are, you know, like people that would talk to me. These are amateurs. So an amateur is going to say what he really feels because he doesn't have the sophistication to understand what he's stepping into, right? So like, the real philosophical guys don't go there. They don't try to make these emotional appeals to people because they're operating at a level where people are going to try to check them at the psychological level.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Okay, so Christ on a cross, such a symbol of loss. That's one of the things that really interests me about my atheist friends. It's like, it appears to me they're not very familiar with the impossibility of the explosion in Christianity, especially as it relates to the cross.
Yeah.
So for, you know, I always talk about like, Hey, Shimon Bar Kokhba.
Yeah.
You know, and
Tell us who he is. Is Burke here?
Shimon Bar Kokhba. He was the son of the Star was his nickname, and he was a messianic candidate, and he claimed to be a messianic candidate. And the top rabbi of the day had coins minted with his image and all this shit on it.
Holy shit! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
They were really up on it. And then, you know, he went to jihad, and, you know what happened. The Romans killed him. They executed him, killed a bunch of his followers. And that was the end of Shimon Bar Kokhba. And now...
I've never even heard of them, dear. Heard of him, dear
Now
listener.
he's a trivia quit. There was another dude, too, that claimed to be the Messiah during the Islamic period. And the Muslims obviously squashed that. And then he had to be the door watcher for the Sultan. That's how they...
The Sultan?
The Khalifa, basically, the leader. He was basically
He had to be the door holder.
He was a
after
door
that?
guy, yeah.
So first he came out claiming to be the Messiah, and then they said they figured him out, and now they put him as the doorkeeper.
Well, yeah, he claimed to be the Messiah. Of course, the Muslims crushed him in his movement, and then he converted to Islam, and then in order to keep his head, obviously, he converted to Islam, and then he was a door watcher after that. Wow. And so it's like all these messianic movements, like, they either die or they have like 5 followers after the leader dies. There's only one messianic movement where the thing exploded.
Yeah.
Jesus had about 5 people around him at the cross when he was dying. You know what I'm saying? And then in one day he's got like 3,000 people after that. And so it's like, yes, Christ on a cross is
and it was 3,000.
Sabotage the V there. Yeah, Sabotage the V was the guy where he was claiming to be some dude, and then the Muslims came and he was the door watcher for him. Shout out to go ahead.
The 3,000 that ended up following Jesus's movement was actually brought into it by the guy that when Jesus was getting arrested kept saying, I don't know him. He was terrified that he was going to also get dragged in there and killed. And then all of a sudden, the guy after Jesus is dead, and of course we believe a resurrection happened there, and then that's what emboldened this guy to not be afraid anymore, and then to go and to start speaking with such authority and conviction that 3,000 people in a single day joined the movement.
Yeah, like you got to contend with that, man.
Yeah,
like you have to contend with. I'm
Explain
sorry.
This
and then it's like,
because they were still under threat of death at that point.
Well, and the other thing too is people are looking at the crucifixion as Western people who've been influenced by Christianity. You need to look at crucifixion the way that a first century Roman person and a Jewish person looked at it. On the Roman side, the crucifixion was reserved for the worst criminals, and really it was a psychological act of war to show the other people, you don't want to do this, you don't want to fuck with us, because we'll do this to you and you'll die, you'll hang here for 3 days. Begging for everybody, passerbys, to kill you. It was the ultimate sign that Rome had power and you did not. That was the entire point of even the form itself, which is like you're completely opened up and you can't cover yourself. Even the form of crucifixion was designed for the psychological effect in Rome.
And they would randomly just grab people and crucify them. You didn't even have to do anything wrong.
So...
It was a crazy scene.
So to have the cross be your symbol in the first century would not be looked upon as a beautiful symbol of sacrifice and redemption and all the rest of it. It was the ultimate symbol of Roman power. It was like having an F-15 or something, around your neck as a Muslim person.
Well, I don't even know.
An American, we've got symbols of American power, like you can't fuck with this country. Look. We've got things. And so, like, the Roman cross was not something you would associate with love and redemption.
Right, that's
and
what
sacrifice.
I was going to say.
The Roman cross is the ultimate symbol of Roman power and your inability to do anything about it. Because you got your son up there for 3 days. He's crying out to you to at least kill him, and you can't even do that. That's what the Roman cross symbolized. So... I don't think my atheist friends have done the actual work to say, how the fuck do you go from that to it completely changes the entire world? Thousands and thousands of Jews were crucified during the Roman occupation. How did this one random Jew who claimed to be the Messiah, and here's the other thing. So from the Roman side, I'm not going to follow that guy. I mean, there's a famous relief. It's called the Aleximanos relief, and it's this basically a donkey on a cross, or a jackass on the cross, and then there was this guy, like a stick figure, that's worshiping this donkey on a cross, and it says Aleximanos worships his God. That's literally what it says. And so you have to think about that. Like, the Romans were mocking Christians for following a crucified Jesus. And on the Jewish side, it was worse, because not only did it mean you were not the Messiah because you fell under Roman Gentile power, it also meant that you were cursed, because in Deuteronomy it says anyone who dies by being hung on a tree is cursed.
Yep.
So not only is there a sociological, psychological... Not only was there a sociological, psychological aspect to the death of Christ for the Jewish people, but there was also a theological aspect to it. He didn't die in the midst of a war like a man. He didn't die by being stoned to death, which was bad enough. He died by being crucified on a tree. That tells you that Yahweh was against him. So there is no way to then justify this explosion of Christianity, which also included Pharisees and other Jewish people like Paul, who were known by people at the time, to now say, no, this guy is the Son of God. This guy has overcome the Romans. In what way? Mm-hmm. There has to be something. And to me, like, the only explanation is that just like the Jesus event, as far as the reaction to it, is a singular event in history. I've talked to famous atheists. I've talked to unfamous atheists. Nobody has ever shown me that template. Get me a guy, and everybody's against him. Everybody's against his followers. Even the theology is against his followers. And somehow, in spite of that, all the religion is exploding. People go, well, what about Islam? Dear listener, the day after Muhammad died, okay? After Muhammad died, his buddy Abu Bakr al-Siddiq took over. Okay? Do you know the first wars that Abu Bakr fought? They were called the Ridda Wars. R-I-D-D-A. And those were the wars of apostasy. Because as soon as Muhammad died, a bunch of Muslims said, all right, well, game's over, we're done. And Abu Bakr said, nah, you guys are in it for life. And they said, nah, man, Muhammad's dead, we're good. Abu Bakr said, all right, cool, I'll be back. Abu Bakr comes back with a couple thousand people, starts executing people, chopping heads off. All of a sudden, the guys in the village said, "You know what? We love Islam, even if Muhammad is dead." Okay, so
we shall be Muslim.
La ilaha illallah. So I mean, I get the frustration. I get what the guy is saying, but I also think, like, you know, it's 2023. Like, nobody has any excuse to be uneducated. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get after it. I mean, he's the most famous guy in human history. So, I mean, figure it out. You know what I mean?
The symbols on the sign that was on top of the cross, it said Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews? Or is it just King of the Jews?
But they did it in three, Latin, Greek, and Aramaic.
So that's
why. To
my understanding, they were mocking him because if you were the king of the Jews, you were really the king, you wouldn't be up there being crucified. So it was like their way of saying, oh, this is the guy, this is what he said, and now look at him. But they, you know, people misunderstood what was actually happening in those moments on the cross.
I think John, as in John the Revelator, church history says he basically died of old age. So
wait, what? What are you talking about?
Somebody was like, "Did any of the apostles die of old age?" Because all of them were martyred. And I'm saying church tradition tells us John, as in the Gospel of John or John the Revelator, that he died of old age. But I'm certain that he wished he would have been martyred because they boiled him alive in oil.
I was gonna say, didn't they boil him?
He survived that, which is a pretty horrible thing to have to survive. Then he got sent to a penal colony. I mean, he didn't have a lot of fun. He didn't have a lot of fun. Let me see what Oh yeah, Constantine. Shout out to Constantine. Constantine the Great embraced Christianity, was the start of transition to the dominant religion in the Roman Empire because of his vision of the cross appearing in the light of the sun with the instruction in hoc signo vinces, which in this sign conquer. By this sign conquer, there it is. So the drugs that made him see that vision helped Christianity. Yeah, whatever my man was on, I'm not sure if Constantine was ever really a Christian. I don't know if me and I was gonna say, see, that's Saint Constantine the Great to you. Okay, so I know what Perk thinks about that. I think there's another here. There were other contemporary Jewish martyrs and Messiah claimants. Why is there no other record recorded of Jewish martyrs being resurrected? Correct. Jewish martyrs were legion at that time for obvious reasons, and not a single one of them tried to come up with a resurrection narrative for any of their folks. And the reason for that is because the first century Jews or Second Temple Jews had a very specific theology relative to the resurrection. The resurrection was going to be a general resurrection. If you believed in those things, if you were not influenced by Sadducean thought, you believed in a final general resurrection at the end of the world. You did not believe that anybody could be raised from the dead prior to that final eschatological moment. Mm-hmm. And so that again, that's kind of a double-edged sword for Perk to bring up, because on the one hand, what it means is nobody even tried this shit because it was so ridiculous. And the other side of it was they had theological reasons not to try to do that. And so did Jesus' first followers. As a matter of fact, if you look at John chapter 11, Lazarus is dead. Jesus is about to raise him from the dead. And Jesus tells his sisters, don't you believe I could do this? And she said, I know he's going to rise again, Messiah, on the last day.
Yeah.
So you could see it even in Jesus' followers. That was the expectation, is that resurrections do not happen until the very, 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 very end.
It's crazy.
And so there was not even an expectation of Jesus being risen from the dead so that you could have mass hallucinations. Or there wasn't even the expectation for it. Go ahead.
Well, remember when Muhammad died, they left him hanging around for a while because they thought
Perk,
he was going to come back.
I wanted to show you this, but Muhammad had told his followers, I need to see how Sahih the Hadith is, but Muhammad had told his followers that the ground is forbidden from consuming the bodies of the prophets. And so when Muhammad died, they did not bury him because according to a Hadith, there have been these miracles, these charisms for dead Muslims where somebody will be buried for 3 months, they dig him up, and he's perfectly preserved as of the day that he died. Like a lot of the martyrs, the Shuhada of Uhud, the Shuhada and Badr, etc. Like there are these whatever you want to call them, that their bodies didn't decompose and they smelled like musk. So obviously, for Muhammad, if that's true of Muhammad's penial followers, then obviously it was going to be true for him. Mm-hmm. So when Muhammad died, unfortunately, they didn't bury homeboy for 3 days. I mean, it's his Arabia. Okay, so you can. I want to respect.
That's why
my Muslim friends as much as possible, but
what it did wasn't. It wasn't.
You could just imagine in Arabia. So after, ironically, Perk, after 3 days, they basically had to break down and put him in the ground.
Because it wasn't his uncle that kind of said we gotta.
Yeah, I mean,
it was his uncle that said we got to do something here.
One of them came to the Sahab and said, "Look, this is ridiculous." So it's very fascinating. Like the Muslims had a motivation to keep Muhammad overground for 3 days and motivation to say that he rose from the dead. I mean, it's interesting because when it was announced that Muhammad was dead, Umar ibn al-Khattab was walking around with his sword and saying, there are people saying that Rasulullah has perished, but he's just going on a meeting with Allah. If anybody says that, I'm going to chop your head off, blah, blah, blah. The point is, he was so fucked up over the situation, he couldn't even accept people saying it. So he was going to kill people for saying it.
Yeah.
And so, again, they had a perfect opportunity to, like, make up a resurrection because they were so screwed up about it. But they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. You don't make up resurrections for people who are such massive public figures that everybody has seen die.
Can't do that, yeah.
So it's look.
Unless you're Tupac.
I think the sign of the cross and the symbol of the cross is probably the most powerful symbol in the world. And it's a glorious symbol, but in my mind, only a resurrection can justify how that symbol can
transform like that.
Transform.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna need somebody in history to show me something that's been reversed like that. Even like within 10 miles of that. I mean, it's just insane. 8.9 for me. 8.9. Decent song.
It's pretty heavy. And I think that the parts where he was screaming out was, pretty legit.
Agree.
I mean, obviously, like when he said, he put, the cursing in there and put him on the cross and stuff like that. I didn't really like. This is my take on that. I feel like if you have that to say it to Allah. Don't blast it out there for us like that. That's a little too far for me. But
so what you give it?
But I'm still gonna give it a pretty high rating because I thought the song was good and I liked the honesty in it. So I'm gonna give this one actually a 9.4.
Whoa.
I needed to say that part was a little too much for me though. Not Jesus first for me. So
that was song 1. We shall be back on the other side of the break. No, you did not miss Megadeth, you big loser. Even though I texted you earlier today, you're supposed to be here right from the start of the show. Now I know who my real friends are. Shout out to Perkinaus. Commercial break, guys. We'll be back on the other side of the break.